Hi, hello, my name is Donate and welcome to my very first YouTube video about books. Not my very first YouTube video ever actually, because I had a YouTube channel when I was 13, but I don't think that counts. So this is going to be my very first booktube YouTube video, and I wanted to start off my channel with talking about all the books that I have read so far this year. I know usually people do like quarterly year updates or half a year updates, but I just wanted to start it with the channel already because I've been thinking about doing this for so long. Because I just want to talk about books. Before I start, I'll just introduce myself. So my name is Donata. I'm 24 years old, and I've been reading for 3 years now. Um, yes, 3 years. I started reading again when I worked in a bookstore. Um, but before that, I read a lot when I was a child, and then I kind of stopped when I was like around the age of 13, I think. Then I kind of stopped reading, but then my love sparked back up, and now I've been reading a lot. My book shelf is still small because I'm only in year 3 of reading, but she's tiny, but she's mighty. I have a lot of good books in here. It's kind of looking in shambles right now because I took out the books that I've read so far. Um, I have them on my lap, that's why they just popped out of nowhere. But um, I took out the books that I've read so far, but I also read a lot of books on my e-reader. I actually have a list of everything that I read so far. And then also, I'm sitting in front of my aquarium. I thought that would be fun. There's a fish in here. He's blue, and his name is Johnny. Um, and he's not in frame right now, but he will probably pass by. That's my sidekick Johnny. Yes. So, um, so far I've read 14 books this year, which is actually a new record for myself. Because the years before this, I read about 12 books each year, so one book a month. But somehow this year something really clicked and I became obsessed. I think I'm just gonna start with the books that I started the year off with, but I have to warn you. Usually I only read horror books and thrillers. That's what I like the most. But I also decided that I wanted to try some spicy romance. So there's a lot of random books in here. So I hope I don't give you a whiplash. But I thought I would just start with the books. I'll just go from first to last, right? That's the easiest. So the first book that I read this year, I actually don't have it. I don't have a physical copy of it. I read it on my e-reader, and that's Twisted Love by Anna Wang. I will insert a picture here. Yes, Twisted Love. You probably know this book. You probably know it. And I decided to read this because my friends were really recommending this book to me. Because I was like, I want to read a romance book. I don't know where to start, and I thought that was a popular one. So I was like, why not try it? Well, like I said, I mostly read creepy books. So I was reading Twisted Love, and it felt so unnatural to me. Because I was like, why is there no murder here? Where's the spooky stuff? So if you don't know, Twisted Love is part of a series, the Twisted series, big surprise. Um, and in this series, you're following a group of girls that are friends, like 4 girls. There's 4 books, and then in each book you follow a girl, and they meet this guy. Um, and in the first book, I don't remember her name. I don't remember the name of the main character. But I mean, everyone knows this book, so it's. I'm sorry if you don't know it. Maybe that's offensive. Anyway, you follow this girl, and she's really good friends with her brother. And then her brother has a friend, and she hates his friend. But then her brother has to leave, I think for college or something, I don't know. And he's like, oh, you need someone to protect you. And she's like, no, I don't. I can protect myself. I'm a strong, independent woman. But then her brother is like, my friend that you hate is gonna protect you. So then, it's like enemies to lovers. And the way I want to hate the book, but I don't hate it. Because it's kind of cringy. It's kind of cringy. The writing style is kind of cringy. It's like reading a fan fiction. But is also really entertaining. But then this man, the man that's in the book, I a lot of the times I was like, this is nice. I like this. And then he started talking, and I was like, you know, ooh, just so cringe. But it's also so entertaining. So I don't remember what I gave this book, but I did decide to read the second part, which will be later in this video because I'm going in order that I read the books. But that was my first spicy romance. I don't know how spicy this book is considered to be because I don't read spicy romance often, but it's like halfway through the book, the spice started happening, and I was like, damn, they're really hitting it off. But I don't know, I like this book. I liked it, okay? Sue me. And then I read a space horror book. I told you this was gonna go from this genre to this genre all the way. So I read Your Mind is a Terrible Thing by Haley Piper. Insert the cover here, if I can. I'm doing this as if I don't fucking know how to edit that in, but so Your Mind is a Terrible Thing. I kinda hated this book. I kinda did. I'm sorry. That's a secret between you and me. I expected so much out of this book because you follow people on a space station and then they get attacked by brain aliens. Like the aliens are literally brains. That's why it's called Your Mind is a Terrible Thing. And then it has to do with anxiety. The brains attack your brain. And it sounds really cool, right? It sounds really cool. I was like, I like sci-fi. I like horror. The combination sounds like something I would love. I did not. Absolutely did not. I could not get into it. I hated the way it was written. I hated the main character. I'm sorry. I think I gave this like 2 stars. I gave it 2 stars because I did like the setting and the idea was really cool. And I liked how it was a metaphor for anxiety. But no. No. That's all I'm gonna say about this book because I just. So that's enough about Your Mind is a Terrible Thing. The next book I read. Actually, I'm Dutch. You probably can hear on my accent, but I'm Dutch. So I also read books in Dutch. I read English and Dutch books. So the next book is Dutch, but this is The Treatment by Mo Hader, or in Dutch it's called De Behandeling. And I really love this writer, Mo Hader. She's very famous for Birdman. And then I read The Treatment, and I don't remember what it's about. So I guess I really love her books. I have like most of them in my shelf. This book is actually a part of a series where you follow Jack Caffrey, the detective, and he has a whole backstory about his little brother that went missing and some things that happened or that might have happened that I can't say out loud on YouTube. But it has to do with people who like kids in the wrong way. Okay, you know what I mean. It's not fun, but the books are very good. So you follow him, and I don't know which part in the series this is because I actually started reading the series on a random book because I did not know that it was a series. And then afterwards I was like, oh, wait, there's an order that you should read these books in. And then I was like, I already read a random one, so I'm just gonna read the whole series randomly. So, The Treatment. It was nice, and now I remember what happened. It's wild, it's creative, but also at the same time, like Mo Hader has better books. If you want to read her, don't start with this one. That's all I'm gonna say. But it was fun, you know. It was fun. It was fine. At the end, I was like, I had to sit down and think about my life after I finished this book. That I remember that it was kind of messed up. So, and then I read a horror book. I read What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. There's a lot of mushrooms in this book. So you follow, he's called Alex Easton. He's a retired soldier, and you follow him throughout the book. And he gets a message that his childhood friend, Madeline, is dying. And she lives in like this big gothic mansion in the middle of nowhere. There's a lot of mushrooms. And then you figure out why she's dying. And it's crazy. This book is more leaning towards fantasy, like fantasy horror. It's not scary at all, but it's really creative again. Like the whole concept was just, I was like, whoa. And you get so many fun facts about mushrooms. I actually learned a lot from this book, so I really like this. So far, I've read 3 books from T. Kingfisher, and I loved all of them. I think I gave all of them 5 stars so far, so maybe I'm biased, but I really enjoyed this. I actually bought this for myself for my birthday. Was a good buy. And then I read Twisted Games, part 2 of the Twisted series. And in this one, you follow one of the girls who is a princess. And she falls in love with her new bodyguard. You can imagine what happens then. You know, you can just use your imagination. I don't have to tell you. You can. It's a spicy romance. It's about a princess and her bodyguard. What more do I need to say? I actually kind of enjoyed this one more than the first one because this one was so kind of unrealistic that it made sense to me. Like, why is there randomly a princess in this friend group, you know? The one thing that I did not like, however, is that this book was way too long. If it was half the size, that would have been perfect. Because at some point, it just started going on and on and on about the kingdom that the princess is from and all the politics, and that was so boring. I was like, I don't care about this country, I don't care about this kingdom, I don't care about the whole monarchy that's happening here or the politics. I'm here for the I'm here for the spice. I'm here for the romance. That's it. And also I like the man in this book more than in the previous one. This one was less cringe. He was like, he had some cute ideas, you know? He had some cute little dates that he planned for her. That was nice. He was less cringe. He was still cringe, don't get me wrong, but he was less cringe. So yeah, that's Twisted Games. I'm gonna read part 3 also. I have it on my e-reader, so ready to go. I just don't know when I'm gonna start with it. I will read the next parts. I just don't know when. Okay, so the next book I read is a Dutch book. I don't know how to translate this title. I think it's family-sized packaging or something. In Dutch it calls gezinsverpakking. And this was in the Netherlands you have this thing once a year. It's called the Book Week. And then if you buy a book in that week from a Dutch author, you get the book of the book week. And this was the book week book. Take a shot every time I say book. The book week book of last year. And I haven't read it yet. It was fun. I cried about the dog. That's it. It was just fun. I don't have a lot to say about this. You just follow a family around their life. And it's about growing up and aging and your parents aging as well. So it was a little bit, it kind of hit my feelings. It was just a nice read. I don't know, I don't have much to say about this. It's like a niche Dutch book. And then I read Victorian Psycho by Virginia Fato. Loved it. 10 out of 10. It's set in the Victorian age. It is a horror book and you follow this girl who's kind of cuckoo. She's kind of wild. She's kind of cuckoo. She's kind of crazy. And you follow her and she's gonna work at this rich family, this mansion, as the babysitter. Like the au pair, I guess. Like an au pair, babysitter, teacher for the children. And she's kind of cuckoo and you find out why. And it's just like throughout the book she gets crazier and crazier, but it's subtle. Like one time she just wakes up and she has a bird in her arms, a dead bird. You don't get any context. Why is the bird there? Nobody knows. And then another scene, she finds a dead deer alongside the road and the children are there and she's like, oh, the deer is not completely dead. Let me just crush his head. You know? Like small things happen and you're like, something is not right with this woman. She's kind of off. And then shit hits the fan. But this book is so funny. That sounds bad when I say it, but it's so funny. I loved it. Loved it. I read it so fast. Highly recommend. And then I read, this is a popular one in the horror community. It's extreme horror, so be warned if you want to read this. But I read Gone to See the Riverman by Christopher Triana, and this was 5 stars. 5 stars, I'm telling you. What happened in this book was absolutely horrible. Horrible. Disgusting. But the way this man writes is so amazing. It almost felt poetic. Absolutely 5 stars. Maybe even 6 if I could give it 6 stars. You know what? In my world, I can. 6 stars. So, in this book, you follow this woman and she's obsessed with serial killers. Like, obsessed. She has contact with them in prison, so she sends letters to them. And there's this one prisoner where she has a particular obsession for, and she's like, oh, I'm his lover. He likes me so much, but I'm not in love with him, but he loves me, and I'm gonna do everything I can to be a good girlfriend woman to this dude. Okay, right? So, and he's like, oh, I feel that you're special to me. You're so special to me. I have a quest for you. So he says, there's a key hidden in a little cabin alongside the river. You have to find this key and then bring it to the riverman. So she's like, oh yes, I will do that for you. Of course, my dear. So she goes there with her disabled sister, right? And then she finds this key and she takes it to the riverman. Shit goes down. You find out her whole backstory. It's dark, it's nasty. If you don't like extreme horror, don't read this one because it was kind of shocking. But the way it is written is so good. It's so fantastic. I read it in like 2 evenings. I was like, do. And I'm gonna read part 2. I have it ordered. It should be coming any day now. I can't wait. I'm so excited. But maybe one of the best books I've read so far this year. 6 stars on Goodreads. I know you can, but I can. This is my YouTube channel. If I want to give a book 6 stars, I will. Okay, what did I read after that? A random one. Again, I read a manga. I read volume 1 of Berserk. Because my boyfriend really likes Berserk, and I was like, I will try it for you. So I read it on my e-reader, part 1. It was good. I liked it. There's just not a lot of character development yet. You just get the backstory. It's about this guy. His name is Guts. He has a really big sword. Like a really big sword. And he's strong. And he's gonna fight those demons. I don't know what else to tell you. Because I only read the first manga of it. So I don't know a lot about what's happening yet. But it was nice. I will read the second volume if I can find it. I don't know. Then after that, I read a horror book again. It's called Wake Up and Open Your Eyes by Clay McLeod Chapman. I still have mixed feelings about this. I think I read this 2 or 3 weeks ago. Still don't know what I think about it. It's kind of an apocalypse zombie book, but the zombies, they're not ill. They're brainwashed by like politics, things in the media, social media, right-wing conservative politics in America. You follow this family and they all fall down rabbit holes of conspiracy theories, right? But it tackles almost every conspiracy theory there is, like the one that birds are cameras from the government, to you need to be on detox diets, to the bubble that you have on your social media account. Everything. So there was a lot going on, and there was also a lot of repetition in the book about certain sentences were just repeated a lot. I was like, if you take a shot every time they say this sentence in this book, you will die. You will die at like page 20. So, and there's also some really nasty horror in this book, but because it was also so loaded with political statements from the author, the horror kind of was on the sideline for me. But I did enjoy it. I read it very fast. I couldn't stop reading it actually. It's just all the repetition was really annoying. And it was just, there were too many topics tackled in this book. Like, I liked it, but it it was just too much for one book, you know? I think if he only had taken like a few conspiracy theories and just worked those out, it would have been amazing. But right now it was like 100 different ones. It just kept on going. It's like, oh man, another one, another one. But I recommend. It was fun. The next one I read was another Mo Hader book. This is Wolf. It's also part of the Jack Caffrey detective series, but this is actually the last part. I haven't even read the whole series yet, and I already read the last part. Um, but my boyfriend gifted me this book, so I was like, I'm gonna read it now, and I'm very curious. Very good, very nice. You in the series, this the main character Jack Caffrey, he's following his own personal mystery, I guess, about his little brother, like I said before. And in this book, you finally get closure on what happened to his brother, which is kind of what happened to him was what I was expecting, you know. But it was nice that you finally know for sure what was up. And in this book, you follow this family, which had dealt with a murder. Like the daughter's ex-boyfriend got murdered in a really brutal way, and they're at this family home, and then they think the murderer is back because the murderer he left some traces the first time. Let me put it that way, and then they found the same traces in their backyard. So they're like, "Oh, we're gonna call the police." But then the phone line is cut, and suddenly the police are at their door. They're like, "Hey, we saw what was in your garden where they found the traces. Is everything okay?" And they decide to trust these people. And then the police that are at the door are not actually police. And then things happen. There's a really nasty scene in here at the end. I was like, ooh, ooh. I was reading it like, and then that scene happened. I read it and I was like, let me put that down for a second. Wild, but very good, very good. And now I have to to read like, I still have to read like 2 random books in this series. Why am I reading it like that? I don't know. But it was nice, I recommend it. But maybe read the series in the way you are supposed to read it. You know, like first to last book. Not like 3, 5, 1, 7, like I do. Don't do that. Then I read another 5 stars, another 5-star book, which was another T. Kingfisher book. This is A House with Good Bones. And this is kind of a haunted house story, but make it fantasy. Put a lot of flowers in there, roses specifically, and not a lot of ghosts. Maybe one ghost. And then some magic, and that's this book. And I'm not really a haunted house book kind of girly, but this one, I didn't know it was a haunted house. I figured it out at the end. I was like, oh, actually, that's what this is about. But it was so good. It was so much fun. It's not that scary, but it's so much fun. I love the way T. Kingfisher writes. There's humor in it. It's like light, but it's kind of creepy, but it's not actually scary. And there's a lot of fantasy. It's so much fun. It's so much fun. I love this book so much. Read it so fast, and also the cover is stunning. See the roses? See these plants? Do you see the shiny? Obsessed. Love it. Then I read another book that I don't have a physical copy of. I read The Omen by, I don't know the name because I didn't write it down, but you will see it on the cover when I put it here. You can see the name, you can read. The Omen is one of those classic horror books, kind of like The Exorcist in a way. Actually, it is kind of like The Exorcist, just without the exorcism. But there is a kid that's the Antichrist. You probably know, if you like horror, you probably already know, because it's a classic and it's also been made into a very popular movie. But in case you don't know, you follow this family. This man is a politician. He's very important and famous, and his wife, and they want kids, but they can't get kids. So, and then finally, at some point, his wife does get pregnant, and she gives birth, and then her baby gets switched up at birth, right? So she gets a child that is not actually her child, and then it turns out this child that she received is the Antichrist. However, they do not know this, but throughout the book, they kind of discover it and they're like, oh, the kid is kind of turning evil. Weird stuff is happening. What do we do? And they're gonna figure out what to do and what to do about it. It's a lot of fun. It's really easily written and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It was fun. I gave it 4 stars, I think. And I like it's I think it's from the 1970s or something. So you kind of get a glimpse of what people were thinking back then, because they were talking about the girls that takes care of this boy. She put on makeup, but they call it whore makeup. What is makeup for whores? What do you mean? What do you mean? Whore makeup. What do you mean? So think little details like that. I was like, oh, this is interesting. There's also a lot of fat shaming in this book. Not so nice. But I guess that's because of the time period where it came from, like 1970s. That book is old. So that's something to keep in mind. But it's nice to read a horror book that's a little bit older, because it's like, oh, you thought this was scary back then. Oh, that's so nice. I love this. I'm so interested, you know? So yes. I feel like I'm out of breath. I'm talking so much. I'm really enthusiastic about this. I love doing this. Okay. Then the last book I read is I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman. Let me tell you. I have mixed feelings about this book. Because at first, I really, really, really enjoyed it. I kept thinking about this book. I think I read it in 3 days. Kept thinking about this book. And then the ending happened. And it kind of made me change my mind. It's about... so there's 39 women living in a bunker. Like in a cage, in a prison. And they are guarded by a group of men. These men don't talk to them. Nobody talks to them. These women don't know how they got in this cage. They don't know why they are there. They don't know what the purpose of the whole imprisonment is. They don't know anything. And then one of the women in this book is actually a girl. She got there at a very young age. So she doesn't know what the world used to be like. But these other women they do. They do know. They had lives before this. They had lives before all of this happened. So you follow, the main character is this girl. She's called Child because she's the youngest. And then something happens and they get out of this bunker. Anyway, I'm just gonna stop there. They get out of the bunker. That's all you need to know. But so the title is I Who Have Never Known Men, and I'm gonna spoil it a little bit. I'm gonna tell you why I didn't like the book. It's a spoiler. If you still want to read this, maybe skip to this part. I'll put it in the screen. I will tell you why I did not like the ending. So it's called I Who Have Never Known Men. There are men in this world, they're just dead. So the main character that you follow, she literally has never known men. Which is fine, I guess. It's an interesting premise. But then the ending, at the end she's like the last surviving woman, and this is like her life story that she has written. And at the end, she dies because her uterus, her womb, has a cancer in it or something. And she's like, oh, the last sentences are, it is strange that I am dying from a diseased womb. I who have never had periods, and I who have never known men. And it kind of felt like, to me, she was dying from her uterus and a cancer, and in the book, she was like, oh, my uterus is dying because I didn't have use for it. I didn't have use for my uterus. So that's why it's rotting inside of me. Because I have never known men. That's why I'm dying. I was like, having a uterus and making a child is not the only purpose that we as women have. You know? But I do recognize at the same time that this book is like more than 30 years old. So, okay. But people say this is a feminist book. Why is it a feminist book if it ends like this? If it ends like, oh, my uterus is rotting away and that's why I'm dying because I have never known men and I have never grown a baby inside of me. We can do more than growing a baby, you know? What the? So, but maybe I misunderstood. Maybe I misunderstood because I do get the other messages in the book. It's just the ending. I was like, why, why, you know, why? That's all I have to say about that. I guess that's it. I guess those were all the books that I have read so far this year. A lot of different genres, everything and nothing at the same time. I hope you like this video. I really do, and I hope to see you soon in the next one, maybe. Because I had a lot of fun making this video, and I will for sure be making more. So, if you watched it and you like this, please, please, please subscribe and like. Thank you so much. Bye bye. I will see you in the next one.